All right, let's get right into it. Inside your mind, right now, there's this incredible drama playing out. It's between two main characters who are shaping literally every thought, judgment, and decision you make. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this, using the amazing work of Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman to figure out who's really running the show. Okay, first, just look at this woman's face. You know instantly what's going on, right? She's angry. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't decide to analyze her expression. It just happened. It was automatic. This is your brain thinking fast. Now, for something completely different. What's 17 times 24? Whoa, big change, right? You probably don't have an answer just pop into your head. You can feel your brain having to consciously, work. You have to dredge up the rules of multiplication and deliberately follow the steps. You can almost feel the gears turning. That's slow thinking. So what's going on here is absolutely crucial. These aren't just two different kinds of thoughts. They are the work of two profoundly different systems in our mind. So let's meet these two characters. Kahneman gives these two characters pretty simple names, System 1 and System 2. Let's really break down who they are and what they do. So, System 1, think of it as the star of the show. It's your gut reaction, the part of you that saw the anger in that woman's face. It's on 24/7, operating automatically, super quickly, with basically zero effort. Then you've got System 2. This is the supporting actor. It's your conscious self, the one you think of as you. It's the part that had to buckle down and do that math problem, and it requires deliberate attention and, a lot of effort. And get this, System 2's work isn't just some abstract idea. It is physical work. When you were trying to solve that math problem, your muscles literally tensed up, your blood pressure probably went up, and if I were there with you, I would have actually seen your pupils dilate. It's a real, measurable sign that you're burning mental energy. But all that intense focus comes at a price. You might have heard of the famous invisible gorilla experiment. People were told to count how many times a basketball was passed. Because their System 2 was so laser-focused on that task, about half of them completely, and I mean completely, missed a person in a gorilla suit who walked right through the middle of the game. When System 2 is hard at work, it can create some serious blind spots. So System 1 is this incredible, efficient machine, right? But its speed comes from taking shortcuts. And those shortcuts, they can lead to some pretty big mistakes. So how does System 1 do it? How is it so fast? It relies on things called heuristics. You can think of them as mental rules of thumb that help us make sense of a really complex world in a split second. And most of the time, they work beautifully. But they also open the door for biases, which are these predictable, systematic errors in our judgment. Let's try one out right now. Think about your household, your family, or your roommates. What percentage of the chores would you say you personally do? Go on, just think of a number. Be honest. You got a number in your head? Okay, here's the fascinating part. When researchers ask both partners in a household this exact question, their two answers almost always add up to way more than 100%. And this isn't because we're all selfish liars. It's about how our brains are wired. This is a classic example of something called the availability heuristic. Basically, we judge how frequent something is based on how easily examples pop into our minds. And of course, you remember every single time you took out the trash or did the dishes far more vividly than you remember your partner doing it. Because your own efforts are more available in your memory, you naturally overestimate them. And the reason our brain is so quick to accept this skewed view is because of this other core feature of System 1. Kahneman gives it a great acronym, YSIAT. It stands for what you see is all there is. System 1 doesn't bother asking, hey, what information might I be missing here? Nope. It just takes the information it has on hand and instantly builds the most coherent story it can. And then it believes that story with absolute confidence. So if System 1 is so flawed and jumps to all these conclusions, you'd think System 2 would step in and be the fact checker, right? Well, that brings us to the main problem with System 2. You see, System 2 is more than capable of questioning System 1's snap judgments. The problem is, it's lazy. And this isn't just a personality flaw, it's a feature. Real mental effort is biologically expensive. It burns calories. So our brain is designed to conserve that energy. Unless the stakes are really high, System 2 will usually just go with the flow and endorse whatever story System 1 comes up with, even if it's wrong. And if you're wondering just how lazy System 2 can be, a truly shocking study of Israeli parole judges shows just how high the stakes can get. It turns out your chances of getting parole weren't about the crime you committed, but about when the judges heard your case. Right after a meal, approval rates shot up to about 65%. But as the hours wore on and the judges got tired and hungry, the approval rates dropped to nearly zero. Why? Because when those judges were hungry and mentally fatigued, their lazy System 2 just didn't have the energy for careful, deliberate thought. So it defaulted to the easiest, simplest, safest answer it could: just say no. People's freedom literally depended on whether the judge had had a sandwich. That's System 2 conserving energy. Okay, so we've got a fast, impulsive, and sometimes flawed hero in System 1, and a powerful but very lazy guardian in System 2. So what are we supposed to do? How can we get them to work together a little bit better? Well, one of the most powerful techniques is to consciously adopt what Kaheneman calls an outside view. See, our default is the inside view. When we plan something, we focus on our unique circumstances, our amazing plan, our skills. This usually leads to wild overoptimism. The outside view forces our lazy System 2 to wake up and ask a simple statistical question. Okay, what happened when other people tried to do this exact same thing? It grounds our plans in reality, not just wishful thinking. Here's another fantastic tool, especially for teams. It's called a pre-mortem. Before you launch a big project, you get everyone in the room and you pretend. You say, okay, let's imagine it's a year from now, and this whole thing has failed spectacularly. It's a complete disaster. Then everyone has to write down why it failed. This simple trick frees people up from groupthink and makes it safe to spot the real risks that YZITI might be hiding from you. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most profound idea in the whole book. It's a distinction that challenges our very idea of who we are and what it even means to be happy. It turns out there isn't just one you, there are two. First, there's the experiencing self. This is the you that lives in the present moment. It's the one that actually feels the pain of a headache or the joy of a beautiful sunset. Then there's the remembering self. This is the storyteller. It's the one that takes all those moments and weaves them into the narrative of your life. And here's the kicker. It's the remembering self that makes all your decisions. Now, what's truly mind-bending is that these two selves care about different things. In a famous experiment, people had to put their hands in painfully cold water. One trial was short, but it ended abruptly at peak pain. The other trial was actually longer, but in the last few seconds, the water was made slightly less cold. The result? A staggering 80% of people chose to repeat the longer session of pain. Why? Because their remembering self didn't care about the total duration of pain. It just preferred the story with the better ending. And this leaves us with a really big, critical question to think about. Our remembering self is in the driver's seat of our lives, but it's a flawed storyteller. It ignores how long things last and focuses almost entirely on peaks and endings. So the story it tells us about our own lives can be a poor reflection of our actual moment-to-moment experience. Which means, when you make choices, big or small, about your own happiness, it's worth asking yourself, which you are you really making them for?